everyone. Welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Wakimale here in Abuja. Now, the People's Democratic Party has moved swiftly to ensure that the party does not see what would have become a major disaster for the party. And tonight we'll be getting insight from the leaders of the party and on understanding what is going on within the party and what this means, the defections that we have seen in recent days, what it means for the People's Democratic Party. So much happening in your world of politics. Let's bring you up to speed in your political roundup.
Vice President Kashim Shettima has assured Nigerians that the economic reforms introduced by President Bola Tinubu's administration are stabilizing the economy and reducing poverty across the country. Represented by his technical advisor on public debt management and revenue mobilization, Mr. Ibrahim Natagwandu, the Vice President says the government is implementing targeted interventions to stabilize the economy, expand opportunities, and improve the quality of life for all Nigerians. The federal government has formally opened its case by calling its first witness against the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, on allegations of alleged terrorism. At the last hearing, the trial judge, Justice James Omotosho, had approved an accelerated hearing on the 7-count terrorism charge leveled against him. Justice Omotosho also granted permission to the federal government for its witness to testify behind camera to protect their identities for security reasons. The federal government has launched a 110 billion naira intervention fund to upgrade infrastructure in key medical schools across Nigeria as part of efforts to curb the exodus of healthcare professionals. Speaking in Abuja at the inauguration of the Federal Ministerial Monitoring Committee on TET Fund High Impact Intervention Projects, the Minister of Education, Mr. Tunji Alausa, who announced the launch of the fund, says 70 billion naira will be used to rehabilitate medical schools to international standards, while 15 billion naira is allocated for new student hostels. The Minister of Education, who disclosed that 76 institutions will receive advanced medical simulation centers, adds that universities will be mandated to increase their medical admission quotas as part of efforts to train more healthcare workers for local and global opportunities. Chairman of the 8 Nigerian Bar Association branches in Rivers State have issued a strong condemnation of a recent query issued to the chairman of the NBA Port Harcourt branch, Cordelia Eke, by the administrator of Rivers State through the Ministry of Justice. In a joint press statement, the NBA branch chairman described the allegations as an attempt to intimidate Mrs. Eke and stifle dissenting voices among legal professionals in the state. They clarified that Eke did not issue the controversial communique in her capacity as a civil servant, but rather as the elected chairman of the Port Harcourt branch, in line with her constitutional mandate within the Nigerian Bar Association.
You have it. You've been served with your political roundup stories. So let's bring you some stories coming in from Lagos. But this is on behalf of the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, his lawyer and the former president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mr. Olusegun, has written a second time a letter to the suspended senator representing Kogi Central in the National Assembly, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, has been demanding a retraction of what he described as her, quote, clearly false, unsubstantiated sexual harassment allegations against Senate President Godswill Akpabio. He made the demand at a press conference held in Lagos earlier today. Take a listen to him.
The social media is not where you, useful as it is for information, but unfortunately it's not where you actually justify information. So yes, I can see she's doing very well in social media, but that's not the court of law. In the court of law, the question would be not whether my client is a murderer, not whether my client is whatever he is. The question would be, on the day you wrote this petition, you mentioned that you were sexually harassed. Where's the proof? This matter can be absolutely resolved if she does two things. responds to my letter proving that the allegation is true. And I will turn to my client and say, well, here's proof. Or saying, well, I'm sorry that what I said is not correct. That's it. Experienced lawyers don't just run to court. You play out what we call the pre-trial process. You give opportunity to the person who you intend to sue to say, I will not go to court if all you do is to apologize. That's all. Whether my client will accept it or not, but my instruction to him would be, it's good to accept the apology.
That's Mr. Ulisa Agbakoba, lawyer to the Senate President. So earlier today, the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kaude Egbetokun, has been receiving one of his counterparts in the fight against transnational crime. Mr. Egbetokun says that the Nigerian police force dedication and interagency cooperation on international cooperation in combating transnational crime is unshaking. The IGP was speaking after a costly visit from the Honorable Lord David George Hansen, the Minister of the Home Office in the United Kingdom, meeting which took place at the force headquarters at the Louis Edet House in Abuja today.
The collaboration between the Nigerian Police Force and the National Crime Agency continues to serve as a model in international law enforcement cooperation. And we are proud of what we have been able to achieve together. We have successfully conducted joint operations into many cases of cyber crimes and online fraud. And with your cooperation, we have continued to bust other criminal networks around the world. We welcome the establishment of the Joint Case Coordination domiciled at the Federal Ministry of Justice. We are also looking at the possibility of establishing a fellowship exchange program with the National Crime Agency to build long-term capacity for our officers.
The IGP on transnational crime. So let's get to know what happened today at the PDP headquarters in Abuja. The National Working Committee of the party has held an emergency meeting at the party's National Secretariat in Abuja today. The meeting of the PDP's NWC ends after about 6 hours behind closed doors. The National Working Committee of the party has now instructed its legal team to challenge the mandate of defectors from the party in Delta State. Has also appointed Mr. Ima Ogidi, who is the South-South Zonal Chairman of the PDP, and his team to take charge of the party's affairs in the state. The NWC has also approved the recommendations of the PDP Governors Forum, which sets May 27th for the party's next meeting and August 28th to the 30th for the party's convention. The meeting held behind closed door and is coming amidst the gale of defections sweeping through the ranks and strongholds of the opposition PDP, as well as the internal crises that have plagued the party. Let's speak with one of the leaders of the party, a former Minister of Interior, and who also is perhaps a leader of the opposition, the minority leader in the Senate. Senator Abba Moro is live for us here in our studio. Thank you so much, Senator, for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much for having me.
What do you think is, the decision of the NWC today to go legal on what happened in Delta, do you think is the right thing to do?
Well, as far as I am concerned, I think that is the only option that is left for the PDP to take now. Because I do know that outside the purely legalistic imperative of say, hey, you were elected on the platform of this party, where are you going to? We have a moral question here, that some of these people have been very prominent members of the party, people who have come through in their political career with the party and haven't gotten everything, now decide to abandon the party midstream and cause some level of apprehension and tension within the polity. I think it is reprehensible that this thing is happening at this point in time. It's very unfortunate as it is happening, but I can say that as a law-abiding organization, the PDP has this option, this window of pursuing these members, not necessarily for the sake of say, hey, come back and the rest of them, but at least to show that you cannot bite the finger that feeds you. And so I think that the National Working Committee of the party has taken the right decision to pursue this matter legally, at least to make a statement that you cannot just watch people betray the party and go scot-free.
And you imagine that the party is also, would you say the party is also in the right shape and form? Because, I mean, there must be a reason why these people had to leave. And there are those who will say this is perhaps one of the biggest blows that any political party can be dealt with, considering the fact that the running mate, the vice presidential candidate of the party at the last election, defected. And he's saying that he regrets even being on that ticket.
Well, unfortunately, I think I'm not here to join issues with Senator Okoa on his assertions. But I can tell you that some people felt disaffected in the first place that he was picked as a vice presidential candidate. Some people were of the opinion that there were other persons who had contributed more to the party, other persons who were more committed and who ordinarily would have even helped the party to win the election rather than pick him as a vice presidential candidate. And so it's unfortunate today that at his level, having been a senator before, having been a governor before, on the platform of the People's Democratic Party, I think it's uncharitable for him to come forth now and say that he regretted being he was not forced. He was not. He asked for it, and he was given.
Asked for it?
He asked for it, and he was given.
I thought it was a choice of Atiku Abubakar.
A choice of Atiku, definitely under certain considerations, under certain consultations. There were insinuations that, for instance, he contributed substantially to the campaign of Atiku Abubakar, and that it was in consideration of that he was considered a candidate that can be on the ticket. And besides, there was this clamor within the polity at the time of some level of marginalization of the Igbo nation, and with his roots in Igbo genealogy, he was considered a candidate that can, in a way, be a bridge between this gap and stand in the gap for the Igbos as well as being a Deltan. And so he came, and we have seen what has happened. What was the result? So it was some level, some people concluding, including myself, that it was a political miscalculation to have picked him in the first place. And so if he was walking away from the party, he could just confidently walk away from the party without giving this excuse, nebulous excuse of he felt he regretted being on the ticket. Was he forced? He wasn't forced. He was picked. He had the option of rejecting the nomination, but he took the nomination. Having said that, I think the most important thing now is that he has defected with his governor. They were elected on the platform of the party, of the PDP. And I can tell you, even without the pronouncement of the Supreme Court to the effect that it is parties that individuals vote for, we all know that people identify with political parties, and political parties win where majority of the electorate are members of the party or have sympathy for the party. And so he has walked away from the PDP, he has gone to the APC, fine by us in the PDP, let the game begin.
So you imagine that maybe your party could have had a chance at winning this election if Okoa was not on the ballot or on the ticket?
Well, I would rather say that given what we know now, with the hindsight that we have now, some of us think that the party would have won the election if other candidates other than Okoa had been picked as the vice presidential candidate from the South.
So there was an error in judgment of Atiku Abubakar picking Okowa. That's what you think?
Well, I think there is an error of judgment on the part of everybody that was involved in the choice of Okowa as the candidate. Because, I mean, come to think about it, how else will you characterize this scenario that a sitting governor, a former senator, a vice presidential candidate of the party, couldn't deliver his state even to the presidential candidate? And to think that 2 out of the 3 senators from that state were from the opposition parties other than the PDP. PDP won only 1 senatorial election. And I can tell you today that that person definitely may have won that election on his own merit because of his pedigree and his contribution to the community. And so I think that picking Okowa as the vice presidential candidate of the PDP in 2023 was a very serious mistake of judgment.
So for you, it was damaging to the PDP for Okowa to have left the party as a vice presidential candidate of the party in the 2023 election?
As it is now, you can safely conclude that we lost the election because of lack of commitment. Otherwise, how can you explain that shortly after losing his state, that ordinarily should have been a very easy pick for the PDP, instead of rendering apology to the party and Nigeria, he is now talking about regretting being on the ticket. That means that he was not in the first place. His soul was not in the PDP. His soul was not in that election. And that is why we performed very miserably in Delta State.
Senator Moro, if Atiku Abubakar leaves the PDP, will it be more damaging?
Well, Atiku definitely has his own place in history and in the formation of the PDP. He has his own place in the organization of the PDP. He has his own place as a very strong member, as a 2-time presidential candidate of the party. Yes, if he leaves, it will create a vacuum in the party. It will leave some sore wounds on the party. But if he leaves, it will be his choice. And I can assure you that of all of us that are here, there are other Nigerians that are out there. And the PDP will reorganize itself in the absence of these people, and then we'll forge ahead. People who are worried about damaging to PDP or people leaving PDP and the rest of them are people who are fixated on 2027. The life of PDP is not tied to 2027. PDP is an organization. Don't forget that PDP, at some point in time in the history of Nigeria, controlled 28 state governments, 28 state houses of assembly, and of course, the 2 arms of the National Assembly. And so, if for one reason or the other, the PDP is facing some dwindling fortunes now, that is not to say that PDP is going to be a dead party, no. Because out of these failures, out of these disappointments and betrayals, I can assure you, the PDP will reorganize itself, learning from the mistakes, and forge ahead.
I mean, how easy would that be? Because there are inferences that Senator Okowa is making as to whether or not even Atiku Abubakar's commitment is going to be long-lasting because of the yearning of Atiku Abubakar to want to be the next president, and the fact that the PDP governors have said they're not looking at any coalition, but they are looking to consolidate in the party. Atiku Abubakar is talking to other people outside of the party, and there are fears that Atiku Abubakar might pick a ticket outside of the PDP. And when you say that these defections will not affect the party, how much more? Because you look at it, PDP is synonymous to Delta. Delta is synonymous to the PDP up until yesterday, a few days ago. And there are those who say whatever happened in Delta actually took the soul and the major organ out of the heart of the party, that the party will never remain the same again.
Let me say that I didn't say that these defections will not affect the PDP. They certainly do. And like I said in the beginning, it's quite unfortunate that people who had lived all their political lives in PDP, like one activist and appointee of the governor said in Delta, he said they slept in PDP and woke up in APC. And he subsequently resigned from his position as advisor to the governor because he refused to follow the governor to the APC. So the point I'm trying to make is that, yes, we're having a gale of defections within the PDP, and unfortunately, some prominent members of the party have actually left the party. But I want to say this. I, in my own right, I'm a leader of the party in my own constituency, in my own state.
And in the Senate?
In the Senate.
You are the leader of the party?
Yes, but I don't make the electorate. I don't make elections. Those people who make elections are out there, the electorate, the masses, the ordinary member of the party. They are the ones that make the party. And so, if I say today that, yes, Okowa has left, yes, the governor has left, but I can tell you that within the party, you can find 1, 2 other Okowas. Within the party, they may not be governors, but you can find 1, 2, 3 people that can replace the governor. Let me tell you, the governor didn't elect himself. The people elected him. And today, the euphoria surrounding the defection of the governor and Okowa and the rest of them is because those appointed by the governor and those who have been elected on the same platform with the governor for fear of tomorrow are singing praises, are turning out now to embrace the new party. But when the reality is on ground, I can tell you, many members that are going that way now, because of their appointed positions, because of the desire for survival, will not be there. What do you think in your mind? You're a very experienced politician. You've been around for a while. For a former senator or 2-term governor, perhaps a leader of the PDP in Delta State, what do you think is the actual reason in your mind that may have led Senator Okowa and the rest out of the PDP? Well, I think Senator Okowa had said it before as part of the reasons that he left the PDP. 1, to benefit from the resources at the center. 2, to enjoy the goodwill of the federal government. I mean, when you look at it from the perspective of somebody who has been senator twice on the platform of PDP, from the perspective of somebody who has been governor twice on the platform of PDP, I mean, you think that something must be wrong with Nigerian politics. Otherwise, where morality counts, where conscience pricks, it is unimaginable that having come through the ranks in politics on the platform of PDP, that on the twilight of your life in politics, you decide to jump ship. Decide to migrate. What happens to the fact that your party is also sick? Your party is suffering from a lot of disease. Well, what you're talking about now is crisis. Yeah, in your party. What is the role of a so-called leader if the party, the platform that gave you everything in politics is in crisis? It's his duty to fix it. So why are they running away? So your house is on fire, you won't put out the fire, you run away from the house, the materials inside, your furniture, even your children may be inside, they get burnt. Where do you get away from? Can you rescue the PDP the way it is right definitely. Now? Oh, definitely. It looks like it's just with its shell, no soul. Just with a carcass. You can say that again. We are here. We are here. I started with PDP in 1998 when I was elected chairman of my local government. I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere. I have no reason to go to anywhere because there is crisis in the party now. A crisis that ordinarily leaders of the party should sit down and say, hey, if PDP dies tomorrow, will you still stick with him? But PDP will not die tomorrow. That I can assure you. You are here, I'm here. We are talking today. 2027 is coming. We are all going to be here. I can assure you that by 2026, 2027, we are going to tell a different story of the PDP. Don't forget that activities have been lined up now, like other political parties. What we are suffering from now is the PDP not having an arrowhead that can knock heads together and say, hey, who should have done that? Who should have done that? Let me tell you, we have a ruling party. The APC is in power today. APC appears to be solid and cohesive because the party has a president as its leader. Otherwise, come to think about it, if you think about the legal implications of the crisis in PDP, APC also has its own legal problems. The national chairman is in court. The party from the national level to the state is in crisis. In Benue State, for instance, we have 2 chairmen of APC recognized. We have an elected chairman, and then we have an appointed caretaker chairman by the governor. They are all regarded or recognized by the National Secretariat as chairmen of the party. Nobody is talking about it today because they are in power. So I want to say that, yes, I want to say one particular person should rise up today and say, let's solve
But your party traditionally always look up forward to, or look up to, the person who becomes either the president or who last held the presidential ticket of your party. Do you think Atiku Abubakar should have entered or won that shoe to be able to help the PDP out of the quagmire? Since 2015, Senator, the bloody nose that your party has caught it has not been able to get over it. The party is still bleeding heavily, and I'm afraid the bleeding is so much, it's losing so much blood. And there are those who are they are prospecting that if it's not stopped urgently, the party might lose its life.
Well, let me say, if you ask me, or my personal opinion, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is one person that I respect a lot. In the last general election in 2023, I was one person that stood out in the face of all odds and conflicts to brown vehicles with the picture of Atiku Abubakar. About 7 or 8 of my campaign vehicles bore his image because I recognize him. I saw in him somebody who ordinarily would kind of attend to the aspirations of Nigerians. And having struggled this far to come that far, I supported him, I worked for him. And I believe that after the 2023 elections, given his ambition to become president one day and wishing to contest once more, I expected that Alhaji Atiku Abubakar should have started from day one after the election to galvanize the PDP and hold some level of cohesion within the party. So, quite frankly, I think that if there was any person at that point in time to bring the party together from the fallout of the loss, the disastrous outing of the PDP in 2023, that person certainly was Alhaji Atiku Abubakar.
Come to think of it, in the Senate, you are losing grounds also. And the picture of how the political parties are represented in the Senate, in the 10th National Assembly, when you commenced sitting about 2 years ago, is totally different from June 2023 compared to now. And let me show you the picture, Senator, of how it looked. You are the representative of the minority in the Senate. And at the moment, APC seems to be adding more members, and you are losing. Now you have been reduced, you've lost about 7 members or so to just about 33. APC has about 65 members, Labour Party 5, SDP 2, ABGA 1, NNPP has reduced in Kano from 2 to 1, and there are 2 vacant seats. From what is happening right now in your party, you're losing in the state, and we hear, Senator, that there are about 4 or 5 more states that you may lose to the APC. How do you stop what is now becoming what some people have described as a Tinubu tornado that is sweeping, or Hurricane Tinubu sweeping your party away?
Well, let me say that the crisis in the PDP is not necessarily about the Tinubu tsunami, as they call it. I think that we have had our own fair share of conflicts arising from 2023 elections. And unfortunately, like I have just told you, we didn't have that arrowhead, that leadership that could assuage the feelings arising from the failure of the party to win many elections in 2023. And so having said that, I can say that some of the issues that we are having now is the result of lack of confidence lack of steadfastness. In the run-up to the congresses that we had recently in the party, there were certain underground currents. If I may take Delta, for instance, the governor of Delta came to the secretariat of the party, bought all the Congress forms for all the elective offices in his state. Even when Senator Ned Nwoko approached me, even when I approached the national secretariat, the national chairman, the national organizing secretary, say, hey, Senator Ned Nwoko is complaining that he doesn't know, or he didn't know what was going on within the party, even in his senatorial area, even in his local government. The chairman and the national organizing secretary made efforts to reconcile issues, but it didn't yield any results. And Ned Nwoko felt somehow sidelined in the whole process. Looking at it now, you can see the power play that was going on. The situation where the governor bought all the forms for all the offices from ward to local government, and today he claims that all those ones, the structure of the PDP is now moving within to APC. And like I said, I can assure you that before 2027, you are going to hear new stories about the happenings in Delta State, because Delta State is a PDP state. But having said that, the situation in the Senate, again, is a very unfortunate situation, because I imagine that if you had come to the level of a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and you were sponsored by a political party, and then without any definable reason, you now say you are leaving the party. And I can tell you for free here that some of these persons were compromised. There's no doubt about it, because committee positions, this and that position have been given out to persons, and in reciprocation, such persons, unfortunately, I can say this, without principle, have gravitated to the opposition party. I don't think that, let me tell you, a friend of mine, Senator Kao, who had been a very, very vibrant politician, a known name in Kano politics, ordinarily wouldn't leave his party that gave him a breath of life to another political party, simply because he wants to be in the comfort zone.
But Senator, the crisis in your party, PDP, what role do you think Nyesom Wike played?
Well, the whole process is actually a long-drawn battle. Again, that calls to question the issue of leadership. The Wike disaffection arose from his perceived cheating in the Congress, in the convention. And so, Wike contested to be a presidential candidate. And somehow, in the process, he didn't win. And he felt that certain elements within the party had kind of connived to undermine his capacity to win that nomination. And so, definitely that's an issue that a very well-organized, cohesive political party would have taken steps to address, which was not done.
Senator, what is the way forward for your party as a way to wrap up now? What's the way forward for your party and the fear of those who say, look, whatever is happening right now, your party cannot be able to win the 2027 election, and it's just going to be a stroll in the park for President Tinubu in the 2027 election and the APC?
Well, let me come from the behind to say that one day in politics is like decades. A few things are happening so rapidly that beats the imagination and understanding of certain persons within the polity. Such things can equally happen. Don't forget, only less than 48 hours ago, I mean 72 hours ago, chairmen of PDP in all the 36 states and the FCT met and said that in spite of the gale of defections afflicting the PDP, that they will mobilize and galvanize members of the PDP to become stronger, especially in the face of what has happened in Delta states. And so I am telling you, therefore, that there are persons within the PDP whose body and soul are still in PDP and who are prepared to sacrifice everything, to go to any length, to make sure that they rebuild the party again. Well, if the rebuilding process meets the expectations of 2027, fine. But if it doesn't, I can tell you that the PDP is such an integrated political party. The PDP is such a brand that cuts across all segments of Nigerian society. It is not going to be easy to be broken.
Senator Abba Moro is a minority leader in the Senate. Thank you so much indeed, Senator, for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll take a break, everyone. I will be looking further into the implication of these defections, how it affects the PDP, and perhaps also the implication and effect on our democracy. Former Attorney General will be joining us, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, on this matter. Join us again, everyone. Thank everyone for staying with us. Let's look further into the implications of this defection, what it means for our polity and our democracy. I'm being joined by a former Attorney General of Oyo State and former Commissioner for Justice, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Ojo Adebayo, is live for us here in our studio. It's a pleasure having you join us tonight on the program.
I'm glad to be on your program.
Thank you so much.
You are doing so well for this
country. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Give us an understanding, your perspective on these defections. I imagine that the Constitution has provided the freedom of association.
Excellent. God bless you. God bless you. You see, I'm a realist. And apart from being a lawyer, I read a lot about political science and constitutional law. We are in a constitutional democracy. Give my point. You see, people are just being sentimental and emotional, and it has no basis. Either in the theories of political postulations or in the constitutions of the country. Maybe, or they've forgotten where we are coming from. In the First Republic, we operated and practiced in the country parliamentary system of government. Under parliamentary system of government, which we practice, what do we call it? Defection from one political party to the other. That is, you can leave, because all members in parliament, were elected from their various constituency. You get my point?
Yes, sir.
So then, people were moving. Candidates, parliamentarians, political party were moving from one party to the other. There were defections galore. And that led to the collapse of part of reason that led to the collapse of the First Republic. And when the Constitutional Conference and the Constitutional Gravity Committee that gave birth to the Second Republic were put together, now say, okay, let us do away with the parliamentary system of government, or what we call cabinet of government, practice what we now call presidential system of government, which we now have. In a presidential system of government, we have one thing, what we call freedom of assembly, as we rightly said, and freedom of association, and the right to freely enter any political party and to exist any political party are guaranteed.
What about the...
Oh, no, I'm coming. Let me know. Yeah. I'm coming under that political arrangement. But in the 1999 Constitution, later it was had a proviso that in the parliament, if you're a parliamentarian, either at the state level or the national level, in the House of Rep of the Senate, that you can only abandon the party upon which you are voted to the office to join another one only if there is a division within your party at the national level. And that has been laid to rest in the case of Abegunde
versus
INEC.
Yeah.
That has been laid to rest. But if there is no division, if there's division at the state level and you join, you lose your seat. But it is not automatic. It is not self-executory. You get my point? Because the Speaker of the State Assembly or the Speaker of the House of Rep or the Senate President must declare your state vacant. You get my point? If he has failed to declare your seat vacant, then the political party who is aggrieved or any member who is aggrieved can take it up and move a motion under matters of urgency that Mr. Hay, Parliamentarian Hay, has left Party B, from which he was voted to office, to join another party. Then there will be debate and it may be put off to. And if it is carried, you lose that seat and to be declared vacant. But people are now saying, once you've joined, or once you've moved from party A to party B, you automatically don't know. That is not.
So in the case of Delta, in the eye of the law,
yes,
and the PDP
the governor,
said,
let me say, the governor, deputy governor, the person can move. Anybody, the governor and deputy governor.
With the ticket and the mandate of the PDP.
Mandate, the constitution did not say any governor can, there is no prohibition or limitation.
For the executive.
For the executive. Those who cannot move are the parliamentarian. And provided, it's not even absolute, provided there is, they can move, provided there is division within their party, and doesn't left only.
Can you say that the PDP is in a crisis? In the Abegunde versus INEC?
Yes.
And the definition that the Supreme Court gave in that matter,
yes,
does it suffice to describe the situation in the PDP crisis enough for the House of Assembly and the likes of Senator James Manager, Senator Ned Nwoko, and the rest who left as members of the National Assembly from Delta State to move to the APC?
In Abegunde's case, there was crisis in PDP then Labour Party, sorry.
It was Labour Party.
At the Ondo State level. So and Supreme Court said no crisis at that. And he lost. If I was in the Supreme Court, the matter was argued. My landed brother, Sheikh Brother Nekpekun, was here. In fact, he made part submission on that day. Likewise, the gubernatorial candidate of PDP in Ondo State, my senior, who lost to Aketi. I'm sorry, Ogajegede.
Yeah.
Was there who
Yes,
the case was. In fact, you should come and see.
It's a very robust legal argument here.
I was there on that day. And Abegunde lost. And you know the dress happens. It was not PDP that went to court. It was Abegunde who took the part to court. They said, not Labour Party. And then what type of insult? And they took it up.
But in the definition,
does
in the definition of the Supreme Court in the Abegunde matter,
yes,
does it give a proper premise for the defection of lawmakers in the PDP in that state to have moved to the APC?
No, why are you limiting it to PDP?
Because that's where that's the one.
No, why are you limiting it to PDP? You see, don't let us pigeonhole constitutional aberration or constitutional issue, but let us generally and in line with the constitution, leave PDP alone. But to answer your question, in data now, Senator Nwoko, Manager, and others, parliamentarians, they've moved from a PDP ticket upon which they came into office now to APC. It was a tsunami. But look, what step has anybody taken since they moved?
The party said,
Senator Abba Moro, is the minority leader. Is there? Did he say anything? He can't move. But he should raise it on the floor of the house. Let them now take it off. But APC is the majority in that house. They may not likely to succeed. But they may succeed, who knows? But if they fail to succeed, then they can now take it up before the law court. By now, it will be determined. Because summons.
So the jobs of the lawmakers in the PDP in Delta State who have moved to the APC is in jeopardy if it's challenged in court.
No, I cannot say it's in jeopardy. But it must be but you know,
it can be challenged.
PDP has crisis now at that level. except we are the ourselves.
Does the definition suffice
PDP
as described by the Supreme Court in the Abegunde matter? Yes. Does it suffice? Can you use that definition?
You can use it to leave PDP now. Because PDP now, the umbrella is shattered and broken. All of us, who is the secretary of the PDP now? Who is the acting president, acting chairman? PDP is in serious crisis. You get my point? PDP is now suffering from political hemorrhage. You get my point?
That's how you see it.
Yes, it may die, it may not die, but PDP needs serious blood transfusion so that we don't allow it to bleed to death.
The danger that a lot of people were saying that, look, whatever that is happening, that people are moving to the APC.
Yes.
And they also, look, be careful. We are turning this nation into a one-party state.
No, I don't
But
agree.
the question is that we still have several other political parties.
We have 80 political parties.
In the National Assembly.
I don't agree
There's
with them.
NNPP, Abga, there's SDP.
They are just, that's why I said they are being sentimental. And you see, people whip up sentiment. You see, it is not that they like PDP. They don't like PDP. People who are crying wolves now, where there's no. But their target is the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, not even the APC.
Really? Why?
Yes. That's why. That's the
bane of the matter.
That's their target, where they are crying unnecessarily. We have 80 political parties. You get my point? Look, I am a voter. I've been voting in this country since Abiola's election, June 12. Look, I don't vote on party basis. In the last election, I voted, as of member, I voted Honorable Abbas Ogbonwi, a PDP member. Who is there now? I voted for Bola Ahmed Tinubu as president. I don't vote. So let everybody, let all of them defect. We people, we are the one who will decide not to be voted into the office. You know my point? It's democracy now. Majority carry the vote. Not about the first gallo. But the problem we have in this country is that we have very little or low political party education. Power belongs to us. But we don't know how to use that political power. We believe all these political parties, the politician, the parliamentarian, the president, the government. No, they are not. But you see, in a country where voter turnout will be less than 20%, what are we talking about? Politicians, religiously, they will come out to vote. But what about us? On the election day, what will some people do? They will be watching, and some of them will be online. They won't come out to vote. Come, let's mobilize as many people as possible and vote out those who don't want. Not necessarily PDP. If President Bola Ahmed Tinubu performs and is able to turn this country around, I'll vote for him again. But because of that election, I believe was the best.
Which election is that?
The 2023. To me, I believe.
How? What makes you think so?
He was in Lagos State as governor for 8 years. He performed. Waziri of Adamawa was first president. It was Big Brat. He now fight with his principal, Obasanjo. They watched their lineage in politics. Mr. Peter Obi was governor for 8 years. He didn't construct any road. He didn't build any school. So I must see practical, what I call feasible delivery of dividend.
So those who are saying, those who are afraid,
yes.
Let us say, those who fear that the nation is drifting towards
a one-party
state.
I don't agree with
you
them.
think this is all targeted at Bola Tinubu?
At Bola Tinubu, they are just being speculative. They are just being speculative.
But the manner in which people, and it has been described as Hurricane Tinubu, as everybody, a lot of politicians are now moving to the APC. But is it a good thing for our democracy that everybody is now going into?
We are saying that the right to associate should be removed from the Constitution.
So it's not Tinubu's fault.
It is not. That's our Constitution now. Look, and what's the one?
But the fear.
What is the one part? Let me give themselves a one party state.
Senior advocate.
Yes.
The fear is that there are the use of subterfuge, quiet and subtle threats to hound.
Unless you are not your research or you are a man of principle. Unless you are not. But you see, some people are what I will call, how do I describe them? most politicians are loafer and charlatans. They don't have second address. All they run after are political patronages. Tinubu was in AD turned to AC, ACN, and later APC. As he jumped, despite all he has experienced, as he changed political party, the man that just left Abba Moro has been in the PDP or two. Did he join? Did he decamp? Likewise, all other. If Alaji Wasiri, as strong as he is, as rich as he is, as powerful as he is, he has moved several times from PDP to APC, to AC, from AC to APC, from APC to PDP. We saw it's not even on the way to SDP. Is he under threat? Is he under threat? But lost for political power. He had ambition.
So what do you think is
under threat?
Can you put any pressure on the government of the day when everybody looks like they are in the same bus, going into the same direction, politically speaking?
Put pressure how?
I mean, democratically, the legs of and the pillars of democracy. You have the ruling party. You have the opposition party.
Yes.
Civil society. You have the media.
Yes.
And these are supposed to help to build our democracy and our society.
Yes.
And the question is that when out of the four,
yes,
2 are in one place, no opposition party, nobody to practically and politically in partisan manner.
The man that left is the leader of opposition in the National Assembly. PDP parliamentarians are there. Labour Party members are there. Hope Party also got 1 seat. So what are we talking about? What are we talking about? The entire is not made of.
So you don't see any
I don't
threat.
see any. I don't entertain any fear.
So do you think that the opposition is organizing?
It's very free. Let me tell you, I have a friend, my personal friend. I don't know whether you read the articles. Flicker, Dr. Professor Dayo. He lambasts this government heavily. Every Sunday, nobody has ever invited him or issue any threat of arrest to him. He works freely because they know that the man is writing the truth.
Is the opposition organizing properly? And those who say, look, with the manner
which of our political party is organized properly. All the party lack internal democracy. You see, what we should work against, all of us, that let's work to ensure that we have free, fair, credible, and transparent election. And again, that we have internal democracy, that we don't have impostor candidates. Let anybody move to. You have the right to move to where you want to move. Now let anybody move. It's your right. It's your right. Even some people will not move and they will be anti-party. That is even worse. Look at my point. That is even my point. That is even more dangerous than those who have moved. Because a known enemy is better than a friend that is a pretender. Look at my point. Green snake under the green grass are those who are still there, who have not moved, but are working against the party. And they are PDP, they are in APC.
So they are working to make Tinubu's and APC's effort in 2027 an easy task.
No, you see their problem. You see, PDP is in the tariff. Like I told you, PDP is now bleeding to death. But instead of putting their house together the party, and they know they've lost it, it is except there's a miracle. They are
except there's a miracle. Tinubu will win 2027.
No, except there's a miracle.
PDP may not come back to life.
Not survive
2027.
So they now say, it's Tinubu. Is Tinubu your party?
Let them see. Thank you so much.
Thanks for
Senior Advocate of Nigeria, former Attorney General, Commissioner for Justice in Oyo State, Mr. Ojo Adebayo. Thanks so much indeed.
Thank you so much for having me. You are doing well for our country.
God bless you. I appreciate it. That's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm sure Kimale. God bless Nigeria.